McCaffrey from IGN here, joined by Kynan Pearson, the lead multiplayer level designer at 343 Industries on Halo 4. We are at 343 in the greater Seattle area, getting a detailed, personal developer walkthrough on all 10 Halo 4 multiplayer maps. Kynan, which of the 10 are we checking out right now?
Right now we're taking a look at Solace. So Solace is, again, it's a small mid, 4v4 objective map. It's symmetrical in layout, though there's asymmetrical base designs on either end, although it's symmetrical on one axis. This one's a double-decker level. It's basically a testament to the Forerunner's technological prowess, and they're suspending the death of a star, so you'll be able to see the sun in the background.
Obviously a very Forerunner level here, but with the UNSC has clearly moved in and set up shop.
Absolutely. The UNSC has all kinds of reinforcements placed in this level. It's of particular interest to them, of this location. So here you can see that they're suspending the death of this star. So you've got the interconnected beams in this back route. So this is one of the back bases. The map is divided by two bases. So at start, players can run up here. There's a sniper rifle available, so they can have some cross-fighting here. One of the main attractions of the level, and one of the key features, is this beam that's coming from the lower level to the upper level, and you can see it here. The interesting thing about this beam in particular is if you drop down into the mid, this beam actually functions as a lift that will carry you back up to the top.
It's interesting that you say that because I've been lucky enough to get a chance to play this map, and I literally at first thought that beam's going to zap me and kill me instantly until I saw somebody else go in it and go flying out.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you quickly discover that it's a benefit rather than a detriment to use the beam. It is risky, though, as people can see you kind of drifting through the air. So much like whenever you're using a jetpack, when people are drifting up, they become an easy target for people to locate. But that being said, there are absolutely opportunities to use it in strategic ways when you're playing objective modes or when you drop down to gain a power weapon and want to get it back up into battle.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Is I remember from playing this, the power weapons are on the lower level in the middle, and was a sword, correct?
Yeah, there's a sword on one side, and then there's actually the incinerator cannon on the other side, and that's the Forerunner. It's kind of like a rocket launcher equivalent, but when it explodes on impact, it sends off a bunch of little explosive particles that will also disintegrate players if they come into contact with them post-launch.
Yeah, it seemed actually even deadlier than a rocket launcher to me in my brief experience with it thus far.
Yep. So, the bases themselves are actually asymmetrical in design. They're symmetrical on each side, but the bases are structured differently.
Is that to help tell them apart then?
It's definitely to help tell them apart, and it's to also make the map a little more interesting in terms of having the asymmetrical base structures and kind of change the tactics based on which side you are on. Also, it makes it during free-for-all modes and some other modes to give some differentiation between the ends and allow you to play the map in different ways.
Now this, I know, I'm sure it has nothing to do with anything, but it's sort of reminding me a little bit of a slightly larger midship, in that it's just a fairly simple, symmetrical level that seems like it'd be where all the action is going to happen very quickly and very frequently.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shares a little bit with midship in terms of the structuring, but I mean, the map flow and the things that you do in the level are significantly different. In regards to some of the cross gameplay, you can see that there's a bunch of channels that go down from one side, one entrance of the map, to the other. But then you've also got these spots where, for instance, you've got these kind of jump routes that will allow you to kind of get up into the middle, and these interconnected bridges that will take you towards this center area where you can do the drop down. But the other thing is that depending on which side you're on and how you're going around, you've also got these routes that take you down into the lower level. And in the lower level, you can get some interesting fights because these have routes that go directly into the bases on each opposing end, though structurally they're slightly different. But the good thing is that you also get some cross-fighting here when people are running to get onto the outside as well as to jump into the mid-beam.
Now, I noticed from playing this map, something I was able to use to my advantage early on was up top, there's a lot of low walls, and you might see someone go by, and you can just kind of hop over the low walls and get behind them and catch them off guard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of tactics that you can use to kind of surprise and do some moves based on agility to kind of get the advantage over somebody, or even just, you know, do some clever little things when you're engaging people to get in and out of combat encounters. It's a lot of these things give you some strategy elements that you can use for, you know, basically imposing your will on someone when they're when they're chasing you, or whenever you're getting the drop on somebody. Promethean Vision's definitely a good armor ability to have on this map, as well as Thruster Pack, because there's all these little nooks and crannies that you can duck and dodge behind.
Now, you've mentioned in some of the other map walkthroughs that you've designed these maps. You're very much a fan of the jumping gameplay in Halo 4 multiplayer. Was that something that was at the forefront of your mind here, with all those little low walls and things you can hop over?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where when we were working on this map, just coming up with the routes and finding the interesting ways of moving around the map and kind of using some of the cover and structures to your advantage, as well as just making the encounters that you have with enemies more interesting. Jumping is a critical part of Halo, and because we also had the increased jump height moving back towards the Spartan 4's capabilities, it's just something really fun to play with, and it makes the maps more enjoyable to just kind of mess with when you're playing, and gives you all these elements that are missing from some other first-person shooters that you can kind of take advantage of with Halo Sandbox.
I'm curious, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the first time I played this map, I thought that the beam in the center was a death beam. Was it ever a death beam at any point in development? You guys decided it was too much of a problem?
Actually, it started off as something that would do damage to players, and over time when we were playing, we thought it would be interesting to convert it to a lift because it actually just worked out better for gameplay and prevented some of the frustrations of just in general dying by an element that's not another player.
So, I'll bet some quick CTF games could happen here.
Absolutely. This is a great CTF level. You know, it's multi-flag, and with Halo 4 CTF, the flag carrier has the Magnum, so they can fire and defend themselves while they're running with it. But because the flags spawn on the outer base, there's plenty of routes to take the flag from this location, going down, going side routes, going mid. So it's interesting that how dramatically the CTF game can change, and how sometimes it actually runs a long time, even though it seems like they would happen fairly quickly. It's definitely possible to steamroll and kind of run through and have some quick flag caps, but just because of the variety in the level and the sniper locations at the top here, sometimes you can also prevent flag captures fairly easily if it falls in such an area where you have some nice line of sight towards and control over.
Any other personal favorite game types for this map?
Infinity Slayer, always a favorite. This is also a great regicide supporting map, just because you can get into action quickly, and there's so many different interesting ways of using the cover and kind of bobbing and weaving out of structures and jumping, that it's a great map to play in free-for-all.
Well, that is Solace. For more on Halo 4's multiplayer maps, we've got walkthroughs of them all with Kynan. Keep it locked right here to IGN.